Radio Free Santa Clarita presents The Talk of Santa Clarita, a podcast about issues involving Santa Clarita and the surrounding valley. Episode 125, the comedy troupe BAD SASS. And now, let's see what the Talk of Santa Clarita is.
And remember, this is for posterity, so be honest.
All right, thanks guys for coming in to doing this. This is exciting. The last time I had 4 women in a room, it was to talk politics and sexism. So we can still talk about that if you guys want. Yeah, so this is definitely a different a change of pace. So let's go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves and give us your favorite color and food. Allison, you go first.
My name is Allison Thalhammer. My favorite color is blue, weirdly enough. And my favorite food is spaghetti squash.
Okay, good answer. Good answer.
Okay.
Jenna?
I am Jenna Riley. My favorite color is purple, like a dark purple, not like an Easter pastel purple.
Like his shirt?
Yes, like your shirt.
I was thinking of you when I picked it out. So.
My favorite food is definitely chocolate chip cookies.
All right.
Yes. All right. Nice. Hi, I'm Kristen Wall. My favorite color is blue.
Wow.
And my favorite food is garlic bread.
Do you guys have the same type of blue that you like, or do you guys have to go outside and fight over which one's better?
If we fight, Allison usually wins.
So this has happened before.
So,
okay.
yeah.
That's why I'm wearing blue and she's
And I got yellow.
Well, I'm all tingly at the possibilities.
I'm Jen Starr. My favorite color is purple. Any of them. I don't care. They're all good. And my favorite food is mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah. Good call.
Do you ever have mac and cheese with ketchup?
No.
No, it's a southern thing.
Okay.
It's a southern thing. So
Okay. Is it the Kraft one or is it the homemade with the ketchup?
Well, either one. You I just remember, it was the thing. My grandmother would always say, "I'll make you mac and cheese with ketchup." So. All right. So.
Ketchup inside or ketchup to dip with it?
Yeah,
You just mix it in.
So it becomes orange then, because it's the yellow and the red, so then you're just eating like a bowl of orange.
Yeah.
Well, I guess mac and cheese is sometimes orange by itself, but sometimes it's like more yellow.
Yellowy. Yeah. Are you from the South?
Yeah, don't you hear the accent?
Kentucky.
Are you from Kentucky?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough about me. Let's talk about you guys. The wonderful BAD SASS Comedy Troupe. Let's talk about that first of all. What is the name? Where did that name come from exactly?
A long brainstorm.
Is there meaning to the name? Is there meaning to it, or?
We were trying to find. So when we first got together, we had a conversation about what's our voice. What do we want to say? What are we trying to do? And then, we had a really nice conversation about we like to be a little weird sometimes, and we like to just try new things. And we started brainstorming after we had that whole conversation about what are we saying, what are we doing. We wanted to find a name that seemed appropriate for all of that. So we just started, all of us, just throwing out one idea after another, and days.
Do we want to talk about what we originally were going to be? A very close second.
Which is maybe not bad that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Was smart adult women.
Smart adult.
Yes. We actually, I think we put out a Facebook poll of what.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
we
that's
did.
how we did. We did a video
We
and then
did.
we had a list of the names.
I do. What were some of the other names that you guys toyed with?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
I don't know if I remember any of the other. I remember smart adult women,
Yeah,
which we
smart
just
adult
thought
women.
was really funny because it was. But then we're like, people might just take that as we're being too serious. But we just thought it was funny because it's like things that we are, smart adult women.
Right.
But maybe you don't take that as like a comedy group.
Right.
Well, do you consider you guys actors, comedians, writers, performers? What?
Yes.
Yes.
All of that.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is let's go back around the room and just find out like your backgrounds, like where you went to school, where you studied from, or exactly like that. You want to start first, Jen, or?
Yeah, well, we're all from Second City. Graduated 2 years ago, so that's my improv sketch training.
Right.
And I went to New York Film Academy to learn for acting for TV, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Kristen, what about you?
I have a background in theater and moved to LA to be a waiter.
Okay,
and,
a
few years ago, started studying at Second City, where I met these women here, and just fell in love with sketch.
Okay.
It's the perfect combination of writing and wacky and realistic, grounded acting as well that I think makes for good comedy.
Jenna?
I went to school at Virginia Tech for theater and English. I've been a writer and an actor for a while. And then when I moved out to LA, I took a lot of very serious acting workshops and classes and cried a lot and cried in my car a lot after when I didn't cry enough in the class.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I was kind of coming up against the same wall all the time, which is that I'm very much a planner and I like to know everything that's going to happen and exactly how it's going to go, and this just doesn't suit a creative pursuit, really. You have to be able to be in the moment. So I thought the scariest thing I could try was improv, where you have nothing. No lines, no blocking, no idea who you're performing with, what your character, you have nothing. So I was petrified, but I started doing improv at IO West before it closed down. It's so sad.
Oh, I didn't know it closed.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I know, yeah, it was so sad. So I did the full improv program there, and I loved it. And then I was trying to figure out, what's next, and I'd heard really great things about Second City. So I started there and did their improv and sketch training, and then I met these lovely ladies, and I just love comedy. It took me a long time to figure that out, but I really love comedy.
Why did it take you a long time to figure it out? What do you mean?
I think because I never thought of myself as funny. So I don't think it ever crossed my mind that I should be trying comedy sometimes. Like silly things in college when I was taking theater classes, and we did have some improv there. I thought it was fun, but never thought of myself as having any kind of talent toward it or anything to really contribute. I just never have thought of myself as funny.
Right. Do you think you're funny now? Or do you?
I think sometimes it happens.
Well, I mean, don't worry about it. I mean, even the Marx Brothers had a Zeppo. So. And Allison, what about you?
I am from Chicago. I went to Valparaiso University. Studied theater and film there. And I moved out to LA 10 years ago to act and write. And then a few years in, it became more write and act because I was just getting more yeses in the writing field. And similar to Jenna, I came out to not necessarily just pursue like a dramatic acting career, but I always loved comedy, and like SNL growing up was like, I was so passionate, like I watched every week, but I never really thought of it as like a career path for me. And then I had a roommate probably like 8 years ago, and she read a sketch that I wrote, and she was very involved at UCB at the time, and she was like on a mod team, and she was like, why are you not doing this? Like, why are you not?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, I guess that could be a job that I pursue.
Yeah.
And then I started taking a writing class at Second City, and then I missed acting. So then I got into the program and got back into acting and met these people and these people, these guys.
Smart adult women.
Full disclosure to everybody, Allison and I are old friends. I haven't seen her in it's been 4 years?
It's been
a while. So
because since you moved out here to
so
far away.
So far away, yes. Okay, and just why don't we talk a little bit about Second City? I'm just curious what it's like. I mean, you hear so much about the performers that come out of Second City. What is the school like, and as far as being part of it, what are I mean, can you tell us a little bit about it? Any of you? Somebody step up.
So they start you, if the actual program that we talk about is they start you with improv, and there's 3 different levels, and once you're you move from one to the next, and when you're done with that, you have the option of auditioning for the conservatory.
And anyone can do those first 3 levels. Like that's just anyone.
You can just sign up.
Yeah.
Just pay them your your hard-earned money, and you take an improv class. You too. But then you audition if you make it through the 3rd level, then you can audition for the conservatory, which is sketch comedy through improvisation. That's what Second City teaches you. They teach you how to write sketches, how to come up with sketches through improvising. And then there's 5 levels of that. Yeah. And once you're through with that, you can audition for the grad review, which is a team assembled of 6 or 8 people, 6, 7, or 8 people. Yeah. And you spend 6 months writing an original show and then performing it in their theater.
Okay.
And so we all went through that entire program and graduated a few years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then they have improv teams there. They have sketch teams. They have original shows that are in LA and Chicago and sometimes go off Broadway.
And then just you guys want to name some of the alumni because I don't know how many people know exactly how many people come out of Second City. My excuse for doing this with you guys, because technically this show is usually about Santa Clarita people, is Paul Reubens went to Cal Arts, and then Paul Reubens went to Second City. So, he's kind of, there's a link to Second City through Paul Reubens. It's that 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. So, but do you want to tell us some of the other people, or do you, off the top of your head, do you know?
Yeah, I think
Tina Fey,
John Candy,
Stephen Colbert,
Steve
and
Carell.
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Tim Meadows,
Rachel Dratch,
Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know he did too.
I think
Chris Farley. Did we say that?
Yeah, Chris Farley did.
I think maybe Adie Bryant. Is that right?
Yes.
I think she
Wow.
did.
Yeah. That's quite
a lot of people.
Yeah. So, and why did you guys do your own comedy troupe as opposed to staying with Second City, or?
Well, we have not left Second City.
Oh, okay.
There's once you graduate, you can audition for, like Kristen said, any of their improv or sketch teams or shows, and we were all actually on
the house
sketch teams on the house ensemble teams. And it's a great outlet to, they give you the stage if you want to write. I wrote my own show last year and put up a show. Jen was in that. You can use their stage like as one of the benefits of being a graduate. But all the outlets are live. It's I love performing live, but as an actor or even a writer, people want your body of work. Like, you're submitting for something, like, okay, great, where's your reel, with YouTube, it's like, why aren't you producing your own stuff? And they want you to be well-rounded and be able to, not just act, but can you write and can you edit? And we were like, let's get a group together and just start filming stuff and having that body. So Bad Sass doesn't, currently we're not against it, but we have other outlets to do live stuff. So Bad Sass,
you're not at war with Second City.
Oh no, we love Second City.
Yeah, we just wanted we wanted to, like, Bad Sass is just video content so that we can build up our repertoire.
It is kind of fascinating how the industry has changed so much in the past 10 or 15 years that you can't just write a spec script anymore. You've got to have a reel on YouTube.
And how many Instagram followers do you have?
Yeah.
Which, I think I have 4.
Yeah.
So I'm moving up.
You're getting there. We're getting there.
But there's also things you can do on camera that you can't do on the stage as effectively, and so that's the nice thing about.
Like what? Give me an example.
Green screen. We can be anywhere.
In space.
We can change characters instantly. We can each play. Yeah. We have one sketch where we each play 2 characters all sitting at a dinner table together.
Yeah.
You can't do that on
right
on stage.
Have you ever thought about performing live at all, or?
We did talk about it a little bit at the beginning, and I think we're just not. I'm not opposed to it, but it just hasn't been our focus.
Right.
So that's how it seems to me.
Right.
Yeah, so much of it, it takes so much time because we do everything. We write our own sketches, we act in them, we produce them, we edit them, and that's time consuming to do all of that. So we sort of felt like we already have an outlet to do live stuff, so let's not use our valuable time for that. Like, let's put all of our time into video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I did notice about you guys is boobs. So and
I thought I did a good job.
I look at the when someone's going to come on the show, I do ask for the for them to send us some talking points, and one of the things that Allison sent to me was talk about the fact that you don't want to be known as an all-female comedy sketch group, but it's hard not to notice that.
Well, here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
We actually recently had a discussion about this, that like if you were interviewing an all-male sketch group,
Yeah.
they would not identify themselves as an all-male sketch group.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of guys who make sketches. They wouldn't advertise themselves as, guess what, everybody? We're all men. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Because it's normal.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we want, yes, we're all women.
Yeah.
But it's like there's this thing when you say we're an all-female sketch group.
Are they feminists?
Yes,
What
all
is
our
their-
sketches are about being on
Honestly,
your period.
we weren't opposed to having men in our group at the beginning. We just don't know any funny men.
That's right.
But it is interesting, just in the respect of, I mean, to me, like, one of the sexiest things in the world for a woman, there's three things: a motorcycle, guitar, and being funny. But I mean, there is a certain kind of, I mean, by the way, does you have a guitar and a motorcycle too, or just checking to?
I have a guitar. I don't know how to play it yet, but I have one.
I have an
well-
out-of-tune guitar in
want
my
to.
corner of my room.
Okay, well, you two may be my favorites now. But I'm just wondering. I mean, there are, as you were saying, that men are expected to be can be funny or are expected to be, but women not necessarily. Do you find that is almost a problem, or it's something that you run into where people go, well, how can you guys be funny? You're female, you're attractive, and,
Well, then just watch us.
yeah,
You'll see.
yeah. I did,
Yeah,
and I laughed out loud quite a bit. So
I think it's something that's part of the movement right now, is not only making it a thing that women are funny, women can be whatever they want to be, women can do whatever men are doing.
Yeah.
That it's not a weird thing, that you don't need a qualifier that you're a female comedian, a female actor, female writer. You just are those things.
Right.
You don't need the qualifier that you're a female. I think part of what society's working through right now is normalizing that. Because like I said, like a male, they don't identify themselves as a male comedian.
Right.
They're just a comedian.
right,
And because it's normal, we accept that. We don't need to know.
right.
So I think a lot of it is just getting used to it and normalizing it, and just keep going.
That was such a female empowerment kind of answer. I'm feeling like really bad about the boobs comment now.
In
So
the end of the day, though, we are just four friends who
Yeah.
work really well together and
Yes.
and produce content that
Which-
we're proud of.
But,
Which
I mean-
is another just point to make, which
Yeah.
is it's crazy that in LA it's hard to get any group of people together
Yeah.
consistently, and the fact that like the four of us meet on a regular basis, there's no weak link. Like everyone it comes and is prepared and has ideas, and the fact that we get along professionally and on a personal level and have similar senses of humor, and just it meshes so well that it's just like mind-blowing. We've been together for like a little over a year now, and it's just, I mean, every week we're like, I love Mondays. Mondays are it's the best thing around you people. Like it's just so inspiring to work with people who you respect on a personal and professional level.
Absolutely.
Do you think? Let's go. I want to talk a little bit more about being a woman in comedy. Do you? There is and we were talking about a man wouldn't identify himself as a male comedian per se. I might, because I have to emphasize sometimes I am a guy, but
You are wearing purple.
I am wearing purple, exactly. But do you think that in some ways that the reason that is that I mean, it's almost a comedy, and by tradition is almost a sense of a masculine trait, or considered a masculine trait, or do you think? I mean, there are when you look at like the last 50 to 60 years in comedy, there are not very many. I mean, lately that's changed, but not a lot of female comedians.
Going all the way back to the first actors out there, women weren't allowed to be actors.
Yeah.
I mean, in Shakespeare days, men played all the parts. And I think that it's just been a very slow evolution of women being able to do the same things as men without it being considered vulgar or unladylike or, you know, in many different careers, not just comedy, but...
Right. The workplace in general.
Yeah.
Women becoming a part of the workplace.
I also think, like, I just, right now, as you were describing, like, comedy or comedians, like, as a masculine thing.
I'm just saying.
I'm just thinking, I'm thinking of comedians, I'm like, I wouldn't call, like, Carrot Top. I wouldn't call it masculine.
What are you talking about,
When you think of comedians, none of them are like macho guys usually.
Right.
You know?
I know they're walking around in dresses.
True.
Yeah, like.
That's an excellent point.
But Gallagher did have a hammer, so...
That's true. That's true. But I think that was compensation for something.
Sure.
Perhaps.
I'm just, and the interesting thing though is, you when you talk about that, you know, you don't identify yourself as it's a women comedy troupe. It reminded me of like when the Go-Go's first came out. You know what I mean? It's like they would say, well, nobody identifies themselves as, you know, a part of a male rock band,
right?
You know, but everybody was kind of making a thing of
Exactly.
it because of the thing. I mean, but. A lot of, I would say, as talented as Go-Go's were, there was a lot of hoopla about the fact that it was all women writing their songs, playing the instruments, and singing them and things like that. I mean, why not exploit that a little bit? I mean, do you not want to be known as?
I don't think we have a problem being called that. I think it's just like if it's going to get us more subscribers, all female sketch group right here.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just noteworthy to comment on the fact that why are we being called that, and like all male group is not being called an all male group. It's just it's an interesting note to make, and not that like it doesn't anger me when someone describes us as that. It's just interesting, like, okay, well, why did you choose to put that qualifier on?
Right. And it doesn't anger any of us, but it does frustrate me when I hear people say, "Oh, she's the funniest woman comedian that I have heard of." Like, people say that explicitly. "Oh, she's really funny for a girl." You know, that sentence is like, can't she just be funny?
Right.
Can't we all just be funny?
Yeah. And I think it's all an important part of the whole conversation that, like, women are doing whatever they want right now. And it's this amazing, empowering thing. And I'm so inspired by a lot of women right now, the women in this room specifically. Like, we're just doing what we want to do and trying things and failing and making mistakes and going, well, that's okay, even though we're women and we're supposed to be perfect all the time. That, like, I think it's all part of the conversation. Like you were saying, it's not a negative thing to me to say we are an all-female comedy group.
Right.
But it's also another piece of that conversation is why do we have to say that? And part of it is because it's different. Yeah. And, you know, as humans, we're always like, oh, this is new and unique. When something is different, we want to understand it, know more about it, label it. We like labels. And that's part of it. But I think the other side of it that's also very important is how do we move past that? Like, if that's where we are right now, great. We're making progress. We're moving forward. What's the next step? How do we move past needing to say, we are all female. We are female comedians, female actors, female writers, blah, blah, blah.
One of the things, I was watching some of your sketches last night, and you guys aren't shy about bodily functions, which made me feel incredibly uncomfortable because I'm very dainty. But, I mean, do you... There is again that thing about women being ladylike. Do you not worry about that when you're doing the sketches?
Not at all.
No.
I
guess you can't at this point.
I actually get upset when someone calls me like that's not like the word term ladylike. Like, what is that? No,
I
that's a
don't care
whole
for that.
other box of worms. Like, what is a lady supposed to be? Because I certainly am not it.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your writing process? Is there a leader of the group? Is there a person that does one thing primarily, or how does it work when you guys put something together?
It's very collaborative. We all kind of So we're working on season 2 right now. So for example, when our first meeting for like, what are we doing for season 2? We all brought in pitches. Some of us brought in first drafts of sketches. So we do a lot of writing on our own individually. And then we bring to the group the idea or the sketch, and then we all collaborate on it. What's funny about it? Are we hitting the joke? What could be changed? How do we heighten? And so we all help each other edit. And then there's definitely not a leader. I don't feel.
No.
Do you guys?
No. The only thing is that Jen and Allison are the editors.
Right.
So they have to take the brunt of all the actual editing of the video. But other than that, we all.
And I would say, like, in each shoot that we do, there's usually there's like a head writer, because like Jenna said, it's usually one person's idea that they've brought in, and then we all put in our ideas, and acting wise we bring to the table. But there's the one person whose idea it was that it's their sketch, and they will be the director on the day of the set and kind of lead that way. But then at the end of the day, we still all come back, and Jen or I will bring in the edited footage, and people will give notes. I'm like, oh, that's great. So it is very collaborative. We all have a voice from beginning to end.
Is there a character I've seen a couple of recurring characters? Is there one that you guys prefer the most that you like to play?
We're still figuring that out.
I mean, I'm very. I like douchebag Doris.
Douchebag Doris. Yes.
Relate to her.
I've been around some douchebag Doris. And found that very funny as a result. So,
it's very relatable.
There's one in every office.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you've ever even spent 5 minutes in an office, you know that person.
Yeah. What are your inspirations? I mean, where do you find your comedy at? I mean, what?
Everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of it is, I was doing this yesterday and it inspired me. I saw this thing and I thought it was funny, or just that sort of thing. Sometimes if we're dry on material, we'll set up a theme of, why don't we do something holiday-esque, or based on like super charactery, something real charactery, and we'll give those guidelines to each other and then come back the next week with ideas.
It was funny too when we started, because we started in October of 2017.
Yes.
Right around that time, it was like we were kind of calling our meetings therapy sessions. That we'd come in and we all be like, okay, like, what happened to you this week that you want to vent about? And a lot of funny comes from tragedy, and also just and little annoyances, but a lot of it came from that. We're like, okay, let's all vent, and then now we all feel better, and you guys are great and make me happy, so let's get to writing now.
Let's make fun of it.
So we kind of always joke that like it's also a therapy session.
There was a lot of you guys, I got so upset about this thing, it was ridiculous, and I cried in my car today, and someone else would be like, me too. And someone else, oh my god, you guys, me too. And we'd all be like, okay, what'd you cry about? Let's just get it out there.
Yeah, well, I can relate to that too. I often go to my car to cry.
It's fun. It's really good.
It's a good release. Safe space.
I'm gonna put Jenna and Allison on the spot here, because both of you said that you hadn't really thought about doing comedy until fairly recently. Allison a little bit longer than Jenna maybe, but do you think comedy is something that you can be taught, or do you think it comes from naturally from a person itself? And you guys can chime in too, not to single them out.
Oh,
okay.
but I'm kind of offended. That's
fine. I want to take a break anyway.
I don't think you can teach it. I think there's a lot of different types of comedy that there's slapstick, there's different types, but I think it's kind of innate. You can definitely hone the skill, but I think you have to have it. I think sure there are exceptions to the rule, but I think overall it's kind of something that is just funny people, and people that just aren't really that funny, and not that it's a good or bad thing. It's just I think it is kind of just a trait.
I think comedy is timing and perspective. So everyone could, if they saw the world, everyone could write comedy or act in comedy if they saw the world in that way, but there's people that just don't recognize the funny in everyday situations.
And Jen, what about you? I'm sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
I was just going to say, I think that at least based on my personal experience, where I never really thought of myself as funny. Now that I'm looking back, times when I did say something that was funny and people laughed, I can remember the rush of like feeling proud that something I said like made this person laugh. And I remember specifically my grandma was in the hospital one time, and this was many, many years ago, and I made this joke, and I wasn't even thinking about it. It just came out, and she laughed, and everybody in the room laughed, and I just remembered feeling like I helped. I did something.
Yeah, sure.
I have a memory very specific to that, where it's like you just like feel proud, like, and it shows you like comedy makes a difference. Like comedy is important,
right? And I think, for my experience, when I'm in these classes with people and watching people develop their own voice and develop their skills and really hone things, I think there are some people that's like a magnet for them. They are drawn to comedy, and even if they fail a lot, they find the moments, and it's a lot about practice. It's a lot about doing it over and over and over again. Like, I know for stand-up comics, they'll just try the same joke 18 different ways to see like what's the way it hits, because not all of it is like, it doesn't come out perfectly every time. There's a lot of work involved, but I do think there's a natural leaning towards it for people who get really into comedy, and it's worth their time and effort. It's worth it to them. It's worth it to me. To put in the time, get through the hard moments, get through those really tough times when you feel defeated. It's worth it because you feel that draw to it.
Jim, what about you?
I just feel like comedy isn't something that could be taught. It's something that comes within. It's your perspective, like what Kristen said. I don't know. It's just you have to find a way to look at the world in a positive way, and you have to have that outlook for it.
Do you think, for all of you, I mean, were before you really started doing comedy as performances, would people have categorized you as a funny person? And would they have said, Jen, Kristen, oh, they're funny, you should talk to them?
Duh.
No.
Okay. I thought, I actually was thinking about that the other day, like, because I always enjoyed comedy, and I always thought I was funny because that was like a word that other people used to describe me my whole life. Like, oh, Allison's funny. Like, like that was just something, that a word that was always associated with me, and like that doesn't sound very humble, but it was just like it was just a word that people used to describe me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, I am funny. It was just linking that could be a career path was like, oh, like a light bulb moment. Like I can use that thing to make a living. Technically.
I was always,
some people do it.
Maybe. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to play what you guys sent as something that will work both audio wise and video wise, the Thanksgiving sketch. And we'll talk some more about Bad Sass.
Great.
all right.
All right, quiet down, everyone. Before we enjoy this delicious Thanksgiving meal, I'd like to take a moment to just...
I'm sorry, but I'm just not comfortable using the word Thanksgiving.
Well, that is what this holiday that we're celebrating is called, honey.
Yeah, but it sounds like we're giving thanks for our white privilege and the fact that our ancestors, forcibly stole this land and slaughtered its people.
For the record, I wasn't going to give thanks for any of those things in my prayer, but I see what you're saying, and I could be more PC, sure. What if we call it the commemoration of a hypothetical peaceful meal between two groups before a bloody massacre that ultimately resulted in the death of 80 million indigenous people, which perseveres today as we continue to destroy their land and push them off it?
Yeah, I like it.
Sounds okay to me. Okay, then. We thank you, Lord.
Dad, you know I'm agnostic.
Right. Thank you, speculative, generic higher power, for bringing these men and women together.
You know I don't adhere to society's definition of gender roles.
Right. For bringing these humans...
I am an alien.
Oh, right. For bringing these living beings together.
Hun, your mother's dead.
Oh! I forgot. Okay, for bringing these bodies together for this meal. We have so much to be thankful for. Our health.
I have Alzheimer's.
Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. Oh, God.
Who are you?
This is so hard. I'm sorry. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm just so grateful that we could all be here together as a family, celebrating this day as one. And what do you say we just dig into this delicious smelling food before it gets cold?
That was beautiful, sweetheart. Let's eat, everyone.
Yeah, hon, could you pass me the sweet potatoes?
They're yams, Steve. They're f***ing yams.
Bad sass. Funny in all the right places.
Just trying to be PC.
Okay, so we're back. That was the sketch, the Thanksgiving sketch. What is the official title for that sketch?
Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving dinner. Okay.
Very specific.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Who wrote that sketch? Who was Allison?
Allison.
It seems like Allison's voice from what I've seen of her writing. And you want to tell us the inspiration for it, or?
Yeah, it was just thinking about people trying to be PC and just, you know, the dopey dad trying to just be a good guy and just keeps putting his foot in his mouth because people are getting, you know, people are sensitive about everything. And I was just like, what level can we take that to where you just keep, you know, to the point of calling the yams the wrong thing.
Do you worry at all about being PC with the sketches you do, or do you just
No, I think we often talk about what are we saying.
Yeah.
That's what we focus on. It's not about like being pleasing to everybody, and but it's a lot about we want to be. This is what we're saying. This is what we're commenting on. So that we do talk about, but it's not the same to me.
We all come from a place of love. We're all very positive, happy people. So I think that we're not ever trying to offend anyone. And if we do, then maybe they should look at their level of sensitivity.
And we have had conversations about, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember what the specific was, but we were like, well, could this be taken the wrong way? Like we don't want to offend anyone. Yeah. We're not trying to be, you know, we don't want anything to like be taken the wrong, like we don't want to be, we don't care about being PC necessarily, but it is, you know, we don't want something to come across in a way that is offensive or something. So we have like maybe we should pull the reins back on that a little bit, just, you know, not because we're, I think as we all agree that there's no territory that is off limits in comedy,
right.
But there's also a way to do it in a tactful way.
Okay.
Because I also think we're very much progressive, very much on board with the fight for inequality, or for inequality. Inequality. We're done with getting paid so much. I'm over it. With like the fight for equality across all humanity, whether it's minorities, women, religious, we're you know on board for all of that and very much woke to you know what's happening, and so we are supportive of those things as well. So we're, you know, there's like a gray area there for us sometimes.
Okay. Well, I'm curious when you talk about it's collaborative and everything like that. Is how much of it is from the page exactly on the screen? You know, or how much of that changes when you guys are actually shooting it?
Very little, I would say, changes on the shoot. Like in the shoot,
Might improv a little bit, but that's
right.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a script that we follow, and we try to make sure we get all the beats recorded, and then we play around. Like I'm specifically remembering the Thanksgiving sketch where Jen is the alien. She has a nylon over her face. Yeah. That is how we made her an alien. We put a nylon over her face, and she looked ridiculous. And I was like filming. I was like, okay, Jen, just go, just say the line. However, and I have 4 minutes of footage of that, like just Jen being ridiculous, and I actually just edited like a little thing together of her just being like, so we do leave room because a lot of the time, like the really funny moments come from an improvised thing. So we try to make sure we have all the beats. So in editing, it's there. But then like have some fun, and sometimes those are the funniest ones.
Yeah. We'll definitely have ideas in the moment of like, oh, you know what would be great? Try this instead. Yeah. Or someone will be like, oh my gosh, do it like this.
I think a lot of it too comes when so say I write a sketch and I say Jenna's this character, and then she comes out in that costume and she's just playing around while we're setting the cameras up. It's like, that's funny, do that do that do that when we're rolling.
Right.
Now you just recently did some stand-up. Do any of you else?
I used to.
You used to?
Yeah, I used to.
Used to too? And
I did it one time last year.
Yeah, you did.
It was terrifying. I blacked out for like half of it. I had an out-of-body experience. I was so petrified. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And I've been working on some different material because every once in a while something will pop up in my head, and so I would like to try it again.
Well, the reason I asked that is I'm just curious, do you approach the comedy different when you do stand-up as opposed to writing sketch material?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How so? What do you do differently?
A sketch, there's beats, and sure there's beats in stand-up too, but for me, when I do stand-up, it's not a like set up punchline. It's more of like, I like to tell a story, almost like a Jerry Seinfeld, like everything kind of ties back and it'll go on and it's more like talking about situational things with like jokes in there. So it's kind of like you're for me, it's more it's like a comedic storytelling, whereas sketch, I guess it could also be described as comedic storytelling, but it's just the format is different. Like you're setting up little jokes. There's beats to it that it's more succinct, I think.
You have a team to play with to add on to it.
Yeah, you're not just up there by yourself.
Yeah.
There's more of a structure to sketch, I think. Even if you play with that structure, it's still there. There's still a game being played, beats that are set out, there's heightening happening. And sometimes that can happen in stand-up, but it's different and it's not set in stone. There's so many different ways to do stand-up. For sketches, it really works if you have that game and you're playing it hard and you're heightening.
Are all your sketches on? I mean, has there been one that did not work and you just guys going, nah?
That we've filmed? No, I think if we've brought things in that are like, oh, maybe this isn't ready, or maybe let's put this on the back burner. But everything that we've filmed,
we've rewritten some sketches over and over and over, and finally retired them to the graveyard of. It's all right. I'll let it go. Not gonna happen.
What's your favorite sketch, each of you, that you've done so far?
That's a tough question.
My favorite is one that still hasn't come out yet. Graham and Pam. I love it so much.
Okay, so
we just filmed it like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so
season 2.
Season 2. So people have to tune in for that. What about?
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's my favorite, but I had so much fun filming. There's a bunch of our sketches take place in a park. And it's always just really fun to film in that park, like
we
Summer
call it our
Bod
park.
and like our trailer.
I had a lot of fun filming Summer Bod. That was really fun.
The squirrels that were trying to
were
steal our
insane.
cookies.
They tried to open my Tupperware bin of cookies.
The squirrels did. Yep.
They were committed. They were getting those cookies. We had our picnic table set up and this Tupperware cookies, and we had opened at one point, and we walked off to shoot something to the side, and we turned around and the squirrels were like a foot away from. We were like, oh my god, the cookies!
They were not afraid.
Yes, and so we shut the Tupperware thinking that was enough, and it was not. They were trying to shove that thing open. They were really...
You know what? They get it open. They've earned it.
Yes, I mean, they did steal one.
Yeah.
They stole one, and we were like, well, I guess that's theirs.
I'd look at it the same way I do with graffiti. If you see something way up there, like where they've had to build 40 feet in the air.
You're like, how in the hell?
They earned it. They earned it, So let them have it.
Right. Certainly no one wants to get up there and paint over that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious about the mustaches. And I'm looking at Allison because she's the one that seems to have the fixation on mustaches.
She loves a good mustache.
What's up with that? Actually, let's before we get into that specifically, let's talk about why you guys choose to play men in your part in the parts, or as opposed to finding a guy to do.
Well, we're all in it for the writing, but the performing as well. So if we can play more parts? Why not play all the parts?
Right.
Because even if there's another woman, we don't bring in. Sometimes we have guest stars occasionally, but if there's a fifth character and it's a woman, one of us will play it. So if there's a fifth character that's a man, like one of us can do it. And it's it's not, we're not the first people to have done that. Like Kids in the Hall,
Monty Python probably be the first to really. They very rarely would actually have a woman, play the woman role or whatever.
And it's very fun.
I love it.
It's fun. It's really fun to do, and like we put the wigs on and we just laugh.
Make our shoulders bigger and stuff.
Walking around. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but every time you wear this one wig that's like a younger guy and the mustache.
Oh, dude,
you think you look like what's his name?
Oh, I look like Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Yes. I have looks, and then when I wear like the when we filmed that, it hasn't come out yet. There's a tech related sketch that's coming out season 2. When I put on that hat, I'm a pretty handsome dude, I think.
Yeah,
I know, dude.
Very good looking.
And when you asked us a minute ago which of the sketches were our favorite, I was thinking in my head of all the ones that I had the most fun filming. And the ones that I have the most fun in are when I get to play big characters. And it's fun to play a man because it's very different than...
It's a good challenge and it's just really fun.
Yeah, I mean, no matter if it's a woman, you're playing... Anytime you're a character... You get to play around with being something that you're not, and putting on like all the. It's so. I mean, putting on a costume piece, whether it's a robe or a wig, a mustache, whatever it is, it helps you get into that character. You feel different. Your body posture. It just helps you be that character, and it's important. Like it's fun to be someone else like for a little while.
It's fun to play dress up and film it.
Like kids do it.
I don't know if I'm going to get past the Bob's Burger reference. I'll never look at you the same way again.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
What would you say is some of the biggest challenges you have when you shoot a sketch?
Sound,
audio.
Yes.
Boy,
we live in LA. Sound. Sound is hard.
Sound is tough.
Yes.
I think most people who work in production would say sound is a real pain in the butt. Because it's the very little time I've ever spent in my career having to focus on editing. Sound is always just, man, it's either too loud or it's too soft. There's something in the background.
I'm going to deal with it with this episode here. Yes. I'm sure it's going to be an issue. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's even harder when you don't have the top of the line equipment at the time. And so like we do have equipment that we use. I think we would all love to have like super awesome, amazing, really expensive stuff. But like we do the best we can with what we have, and that's that also lends a hand to creativity. We recently posted a picture on our social media. Kristen,
I sent it to you. You have it.
Yes. Kristen was doing sound and lights, and she clipped the microphone to the end of a hanger and had one end in her mouth so that she had her hands free for light stuff, and she's like leaning forward to get the mic out there, and so there's some real fun in that, and some creativity and resourcefulness that we tap into.
Great multitasker.
Yeah.
That's what we got it.
But there's also a challenge.
Well, let's talk about the mustaches. I really want to know what's up with the mustaches. I mean, you do seem to... I'm going to single you out because I've known you longer, and I've seen enough pictures of you in a mustache.
Well, yeah, my entire Instagram is only me and mustaches. So.
Yeah, why?
How does it make you feel? First of all,
I'm in therapy.
So. And I think that's really key. Because I could take a comedic answer to that, but I'm gonna take a serious one. It's like art. You look at something, and I think I'm doing a good job if I'm making people feel uncomfortable for you. And I think that's something you need to. It's like art. You look at a piece of art, it makes you feel something, and sure, you can ask the artist or the songwriter, why did you do this? But I think you need to evaluate it. It's up to you. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then I think that's an issue you need to address.
Okay, so I need to work on that with my therapist then. Okay.
Also, she hasn't mentioned they're really fuzzy and
They're
they
very
feel
soft.
nice.
They're
Yeah,
awesome.
we can get like an 8-pack at the dollar store.
Oh, is that okay?
And they're
That's
all
actually
different
not bad.
styles.
Yes.
So it's like, what do I feel like today? Today's kind of a handlebar sort of
Good.
day.
It
Or-
shows your mood in your face.
Yes. Yes. We're coming out with, Allison came up with this idea of, I must ask you a question.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit of our own interview show. Maybe we'll have you on as a guest.
Oh, that would be fun. Sure. Okay.
And
All
so
right.
that's also coming out season 2. We're
Okay.
developing that, and it's just a lot of fun.
And what is just say the premise, just so we know. I saw the.
So yeah, you wear a guest comes on, picks a fake mustache. We each put on a fake mustache. I ask a question, and the interview goes on until one of the mustaches falls off. At which point it ends immediately, and it's over.
I think we need mustaches for this show. I like the premise though. It's brilliant. This show. All I've got is microphones.
Which we don't have as nice of
Yeah,
microphones.
these are
as
nice.
these.
I like these.
The purse.
Yeah.
It's auto illusion to create, a sense of semi-professionalism here.
Are these not plugged in?
Yeah, exactly. And this actually isn't a podcast. I just wanted to be alone with 4 beautiful women. Why don't you just tell me what the general reaction has been about the show? Has it about what the troupe itself? Have you had any kind of general feedback? Is it springboarding to anything yet, or do you know? Or
Well, we're on this podcast right now. The Talk of Santa Clarita.
Yeah. I told you it's all fake. It's all fake.
We've had, it's been a lot of positive feedback, especially from people at Second City. A lot of people that we work with there, a lot of people have, given us positive feedback and been envious that we've been able to get a group together that has stuck around.
The level of difficulty involved in getting more than 2 people together at the same time every week, and all those people being driven enough to get things done every week is just, there aren't words. It's so difficult to put together. And the fact that the 4 of us are like in it to win it, and like Allison was saying, prepared every week, we're there.
Yeah.
We hardly ever miss a practice, and we have a schedule and we stick to it.
Right. And if one of us is going to be out of town or can't make it for one reason or another, we've had phone meetings instead and rescheduled surrounding it. Like it's really important to us that we stick to it and are devoted and don't let it fizzle.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's been really nice feedback that people are.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
wow,
as
how
far
do you
as
do it?
feedback goes too, is we a lot of our stuff has been reposted. Like Comedy Cake is a website that posts like sketches. They've posted a ton of our stuff. One of our sketches was on Hoo Ha Ha, which is it's
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Get your mind on
She created it's an empowering, it's an outlet for women to basically put stuff. So we've been on there, and the fact that our stuff is all over YouTube. We haven't had any dislikes or mean. The internet is a mean place, and the fact that I don't think we've had a single. Knock on wood, it's gonna things gonna blow up.
Right.
But we haven't. You get trolls on there. We haven't had any negative stuff, because then we talked about that. We're fully prepared. You just have to ignore when people start getting mean. We haven't dealt with that at all.
Yeah. Not yet. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I noticed about when I was watching the sketches is because I was able to go through almost all of them pretty quickly. They're all about a minute, 2 minutes long. Is there a reason you keep them at that length? Is it
attention span?
Attention span.
People can't handle it.
What were we talking about? Exactly.
The fact that we've been here this long,
I know.
and that actually seems to be the biggest note. After Jen or Allison have edited a sketch, they'll send it out to the group of, hey, any notes on this? And usually the only notes that we say is, let's move it along a little quicker.
Let's cut this part, get to this faster, let's keep it moving. And I know for myself, anytime I see sketches that people I know have done or just floating around the internet, one of the biggest notes I always have is after about a minute, I'm like, we get it. We get the joke, and now why am I sticking around?
Right.
And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's great and it, lives for longer and it keeps my attention and all these great things. But overall, there is we're all so used to now information in these bite-sized pieces. And even when we're watching videos, it's or when I read articles, I get through that first paragraph and I'm like, is this worth my time?
Yeah.
How many episodes have you done so far for the first season? How many more?
24.
24? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're working on season 2. When does it debut?
June or July.
Yes. We've said spring because this week we're hoping to lock down a date where we've got a good body of work that we're just trying to pick a release date.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it'll be spring.
Do you have a website, or do you just have...
We do have a website.
What is the website? BADSASS.com, I assume.
Bad Sass Comedy.
Bad Sass Comedy.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Bad Sass
Same with
Comedy.
all our social media is all Bad Sass Comedy too.
So your Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah.
Bad Sass Comedy.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all right, we're going to have some fun here. Not that we haven't been having fun.
Thank God.
Well, first of all, what is the future beyond season 2? Where do you guys see yourself in 5 years from now?
Season 8.
2 seasons a year.
We're gonna skip. We've talked about writing a series, and we've pitched around some ideas, and there's some stuff we kind of work on sort of on the back burner right now that we kind of talk about every once in a while. Is a series something we're really looking to do, and if so, what does that entail? And the ideas, we're nailing down ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's it's a good door into, because there was it was an all-female sketch group called the Katydids. They all names started with Katie, Caitlin, whatever. That turned into the show Teachers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were a sketch group, and then they started doing a little web series about teachers, and then they pitched it, and it got picked up as so.
I think was it Workaholics was it in a web series
Yes,
or something like that too?
Yeah.
So.
I think those guys have been working together for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see big things for all of you guys. Honestly, I'm not kidding when I say I sat down, I started watching the videos and really laughed out loud and thought that all of you guys show a lot of creativity and a lot of talent. So
thank you. That's really nice.
Okay.
Enough of that sentimental.
Yeah. What the hell's wrong with me? So let's do some quick question stuff here. First off, is Allison the only one that hates Bono, or do all of you hate Bono?
I have no definitive feelings about
No definitive feelings?
Yeah. So I guess I am your least favorite.
She and I almost came to blows over that once. So
Sounds intense. Maybe we should get into that.
That's for a therapy session.
All right. So does anybody have a tattoo, or does anybody want to get a tattoo, or no tattoos?
I have a tattoo.
You have a tattoo of a what?
The Bowie Bolt.
The Bowie Bolt, the Aladdin singer, or Shazam, depending on where
I've been asked if it's Shazam or the Gatorade,
Yes.
Anyone that knows me knows it's Bowie.
You're very serious about electrolytes.
Shazam, yes, or the Flash also.
The Flash, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need to finish it out and do the whole Bowie face.
The blue and the red. I usually just color it in with Sharpie marker, however I feel. So it was green for St. Patrick's Day. It's versatile.
Okay. What about you, Jenna? Tattoo?
I don't have any, but I do really want one.
What would it be, and where is it going to go?
I would like it on the left rib cage, kind of on the side here. I want a bird that's flying, and the bird has always been a fun and inspiring symbol for me. When I was little, my mom told me that my name somehow in some language or something means little bird.
Okay.
And it kind of made birds more interesting to me. And so they just always have been, and I love the idea of how beautiful they are, and there's so many different kinds, and there's they just have this thing that they do. They fly.
Yeah.
And they do it so well
I've
without
noticed
question. And I was telling my husband the other day that when I get older, I could see myself becoming a bird watcher. That's going to happen to me.
Becoming a bird. I was like, wow, Jenna, you were going to be like, if you're anything. A bird, I'm a bird. Women can do whatever they want.
Whatever they want. I'm going to fly.
Okay. We'll have to get video of that. That's definitely something to film, guys. Kristen, what about you?
I do not have any tattoos.
Would you get a tattoo?
I've been thinking about getting like a really big one on my chest, like a serious eagle in the shadow of a hungry wolf, maybe. Yeah.
right across the chest. Right?
Yeah, like all the big, like real big.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Maybe a little bit of like snow-capped mountains in the back.
Do it, go all
it should
out.
Definitely come up your neck.
Yeah. Yes. Neck tattoos are really hot.
Yeah, face so in.
Jim, what about you?
I don't have any tattoos, but if I did, I would get one of the number 12 in like Arial font or maybe Times New Roman.
The number 12.
Number 12. And the reason being, I know it's stupid, but the reason being, my best friend passed away a year and a half ago.
Sorry.
And it's fine. And our joke was always 12. Like we would always over exaggerate. Like I had 12 slices of pizza today, or I cried 12 times today, or whatever. And so we were talking about getting a tattoo, a while ago. So I would get that to remember her by.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
She's a huge inspiration. She was there with me in the beginning of my comedy career and got me moving forward. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, there's like the number of reissues that you have on a CD before you stop.
Oh my god. Actually, let's do that.
No, I once asked a record exec because I was complaining about buying an Elvis Costello CD, and then it being reissued and then reissued again with more and more stuff. And I said, well, how many times are you going to reissue something? How many times do you do that? And he just goes, 12. Just like completely deadpan, and that was it. So, all right, ladies, do you have a joke for us?
We have two.
Two.
We figured
you can only
if
do
there's
one.
4 of us, would we only do one?
No, you can do both.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you want to go?
Okay. What do you call a funny woman?
What do I call a funny woman? I don't know. What do I call a funny woman?
A comedian.
But I'm bummed.
Okay, joke number 2. What is RuPaul's favorite side dish?
A comedian. No, I don't know what. I'm sorry.
Yams, queen.
I like them both. So, all right. Well, I wish you guys much luck with Bad Sass. It is on YouTube. BadSassComedy.com is the website. Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. Yep. Find you guys and check them out. And I wish you guys much luck. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you
so much for having us.
This was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed the talk.
You've been listening to The Talk of Santa Clarita. Listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud.com, YouTube, and Stitcher. Barring a life event getting in the way, a new podcast is available every Tuesday. Questions, comments, and show ideas can be sent to thetalkofsantaclarita@gmail.com. You can also call or text us at 661-505-8672. That's 661-505-8672. Follow us on Twitter at The Talk of SC or on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Talk of Santa Clarita. You can also visit our website by going to www.thetalkofsantaclarita.com. This has been a production of Radio Free Santa Clarita Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To donate, go to radiofreesantaclarita.org/donate. Radio Free Santa Clarita, on the net and on the air, and we're very much aware.
Any questions?